Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Think for a second about a bodily function we do completely automatically, all day, every day. What if I told you it's actually a hidden remote control for your health, your energy, and your focus? Yeah, we're talking about breathing.
To start us off, just picture this massive number, 20,000. That is the average number of breaths you and I take every single day. But here's the wild part. Most of us are doing it completely wrong. We kind of just treat our breathing as this passive background process, right? Something we let happen on autopilot. But it's so much more than that. It's literally the manual override switch for our entire biology.
Science journalist James Nestor hits the nail on the head here. He points out that our modern habit of chronic mouth breathing is actually highly unnatural. He says the body is not designed to process raw air for hours at a time. There is nothing normal about it. And he's totally right. This seemingly harmless modern habit actually leads to some pretty severe health consequences that we're only just beginning to fully understand.
So, here's our agenda for today. We're going to cover 1. The lost art of breathing, 2. The science of respiration, 3. Breathing for calmness, 4. Breathing for energy, and finally, 5. The cognitive proof. Let's get into it.
Starting with Section 1, the lost art of breathing. Let's take a look at how we kind of forgot how to breathe properly and how human evolution and industrialization fundamentally alter the shape of our faces.
It's a crazy story, honestly. The shift to soft, processed foods literally changed human jaw shapes over time. Think about it. Pre-industrialization, our ancestors were doing some extensive chewing of really hard, fibrous foods, and that kept their jaws wide and airways open. But then, fast forward to the 19th century, rapid industrialization gave us soft, mushy, processed foods. And today, that lack of chewing has led to stunted jaws and blocked nasal passages. It makes humans the only animals in the world with crooked teeth and chronic airway obstructions. We literally evolved ourselves into having a harder time breathing.
And the crucial takeaway here is the stark contrast in biological impact. Mouth breathing, it severely damages our health. It's directly linked to sleep apnea, anxiety, cavities, and even high blood pressure. But on the flip side, simply breathing through your nose acts as a sort of gatekeeper, pharmacist, and weather vane for your body all rolled into one. Nasal breathing warms the incoming air, produces nitric oxide to dilate your blood vessels, ensures optimal lung inflation, and actively lowers your resting heart rate. It's a total game changer.
Okay, now that we know the problem, let's move to Section 2, the science of respiration. Let's unpack how to actually understand this biological remote control.
So your autonomic nervous system basically has 2 main gears. You've got the sympathetic fight-or-flight mode and the parasympathetic rest and digest mode. Breathing is incredibly unique here because it's the only vital function that is completely automatic, yet also fully under our conscious control if we want it to be. It is literally the manual override switch for both of those gears.
Think of your breath as both an accelerator and a brake pedal. There's this concept called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, which basically means you can deliberately lower your heart rate just by making your exhales longer than your inhales. Or you can increase your heart rate by doing the exact opposite. Your lungs and your heart are directly communicating with every single breath you take. And this clears up a massive myth. A lot of people think carbon dioxide, CO2, is just a waste gas we need to get rid of. But actually no, it's absolutely essential for offloading oxygen to your tissues. CO2 literally changes the shape of the hemoglobin in your blood, which is what allows it to drop off oxygen to your cells. This is exactly why chronic overbreathing, taking too many rapid breaths, can surprisingly lead to oxygen starvation in the brain, causing anxiety and brain fog. Crazy, right?
All right, let's get super practical. Section 3, breathing for calmness. Let's open up the brake pedal toolkit. Dr. Andrew Huberman talks a lot about this first technique, called the physiological sigh. He highlights it as the absolute fastest way to rapidly shift your nervous system from an agitated state to a calm one, in real time. Think of it as your biological panic button. You take one big inhale through the nose, immediately follow it with a second, really quick inhale to maximally inflate the lungs, and then exhale fully through the mouth. Seriously, just doing 1 to 3 of these will drastically drop your stress levels on the spot.
Now, if you're looking for something more sustained like calm, steady focus, practicing this coherent breathing rhythm is the way to go. You just sit with your spine straight,
Inhale slowly through the nose for 5.5 seconds, and then exhale slowly for 5.5 seconds. By taking these 5.5 breaths per minute, you physically sync up your heart rhythms and brain waves. It creates this state of physiological harmony that's absolutely perfect for accessing intuition, making sound decisions, and lowering your cortisol.
But what if you're lying in bed, struggling to fall asleep because your mind is racing with executive stress? Well, this simple diaphragmatic or belly breathing technique is exactly what you need. By breathing in deeply through the nose to fully expand your belly, and then exhaling through pursed lips for 2 to 3 times as long, you actively rid your lungs of stale air and basically force your body right into that rest and digest mode.
Okay, but what about the opposite? What if you need to wake up and get moving without reaching for another cup of coffee? Let's hit section 4, breathing for energy, your accelerator pedal toolkit.
It's time to challenge our usual habits. We all know that afternoon slump, right? Well, could your breath actually replace your coffee? Turns out you can safely trigger a massive spike in adrenaline simply by changing how you breathe.
Enter cyclic hyperventilation, or the breath of fire, also known as Tummo, or inner fire meditation. This vigorous practice deliberately induces a short-term stress response. You take a deep nasal inhale, a deep oral exhale, repeat that 25 times, and then fully exhale and hold for 15 to 30 seconds. This intentional hyperventilation releases a literal flood of adrenaline to massively boost your alertness and focus. Just, always do this seated safely, never near water or while driving, please.
Now, if you need a mix of energy, but also creative problem solving, alternate nostril breathing, or Nadi Shodhana, is amazing. It leverages your natural nasal cycle. By closing one nostril at a time and alternating, you actually balance the blood flow and electrical activity between the left and right hemispheres of your brain. It reduces mental fatigue and optimizes your brain function for complex tasks. It's a real secret weapon.
You might be wondering, okay, do these ancient techniques actually hold up in modern medical settings? Let's look at section 5, the cognitive proof, hard science and clinical results.
Because we aren't just talking about abstract wellness concepts here. Check out this recent study published in Perspectives in Medical Research. They looked directly at the cognitive impact of daily breathwork, specifically pranayama, on 100 healthy medical students. So these were young, really sharp individuals tested before and after adopting a daily breathing protocol. And the empirical results? Honestly, they are staggering. After just 12 weeks of a 10-minute daily breathing exercise, participants showed highly significant improvements in visual attention, processing speed, and overall cognitive scoring. The time it took them to complete complex trail-making tests just plummeted, and their mini mental state exam scores jumped way up. So breathing properly quite literally upgrades your brain's processing power.
To summarize our explainer today, your breath is not just some passive background process. It is a highly responsive toolkit that you can use to combat burnout, improve your sleep, and boost cognitive performance. The science-backed toolkit is clear. Fix your mouth breathing to protect your jaws and heart. Use the physiological sigh as a real-time panic button. Use coherent breathing for calm, sustained focus, and deploy the breath of fire when you need a serious energy spike.
I'm going to leave you with this simple challenge to end our explainer today. Out of the 20,000 breaths you'll take today, make this very next one a deep, conscious, nasal breath. It is the absolute first step to rewiring your nervous system. Take back your biological remote control. But it does make you wonder, what other automatic habits are secretly controlling your biology? Thanks for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.